The red ball season is in full swing in India. But amid all of this, we are going to have the BCCI announcing the IPL retention rules, and all the focus is around that. Hello and welcome to Republic World. I am Ankit Banerjee and I am joined by Shane. The retention rules are set to be out announced very soon. So let's just find out about what can we expect from that. First, the RTM is there, right to match. So is RTM? Let me just find out. Is RTM going to be applicable this time round?
I mean, no. What we're getting to hear so far from sources within the BCCI is that there is no talk whatsoever, at least from them, as far as the RTM, or for those wondering what that means, the right to match card. Now, there were a lot of rumors that this time the franchises wanted to ensure that there were more players that they could retain, which meant potentially bringing back the RTM card to ensure that they could retain up to at least 8 players. But all we're getting to hear so far is that every franchise will be allowed a maximum of 5 retentions. There's no clarity as to how exactly that will be when it comes to X number of Indian players or Y number of foreign players. But reports are suggesting it could be 3 or 4 Indian players and 1 foreigner bases everything. I mean, again, it's very, very uncertain at this point. What we do know for sure is that there is talks about 5 automatic retentions and no RTM cards.
Because I feel CSK will have all their eyes on this, because they want to hold MS Dhoni, right? So in what kind of a scenario does MS Dhoni play, or is he going to play? Let's put it that way.
I mean, we've heard a lot from a lot of people suggesting that he will in fact be playing. Now, whether or not he does in fact end up playing for the 3-year period, which is what IPL contracts are for. I mean, there's been that is something that's debatable, but there has been no desires made known from him as to whether or not he'd want to stop yet. So what we know, at least for now, is that he will definitely play. Whether he plays the whole 3 years is something that's up for debate. But if he's going to be playing, there's no way that CSK will be letting him go, and they're gonna let him be a part of those retained players. As to what it is or how it is that they retain him, well, there is an interesting little loophole that we've been hearing about that could potentially be making a comeback.
Exactly, that is exactly what I want to know about. What happens if BCCI says that you can only retain 4 players, and what happens if they say you can retain 5 players? So now where does MS Dhoni stand, and how is CSK going to look at this entire scenario playing up?
I think Dhoni will be retained whether they have 5 retentions, 4 retentions, or even 3 retentions. Dhoni is Dhoni. You're gonna see CSK retain him whatever way possible. We saw it in 22 as well. He was retained on a lower price bracket. They gave the higher one to Jadeja, who at that point had been named the captain. Of course, that didn't really work out, but he was given the highest slot among the retained players. So they will retain him come what may. You do not want MS Dhoni going into the auction pool. That is not happening if CSK have their way. And as we know, the franchises do hold all the cards when it comes to player retentions. Of course, the one way that they could retain him on a lower price, and this is of course all rumors, and Ankit, we've been hearing a lot about this, is that loophole coming back, or that old rule coming back, wherein a player being retired for more than 5 years will be counted as an uncapped player. That for me is something we need to keep an eye out on.
And that is exactly what CSK would be hoping, and so that is how they can actually hold back MS Dhoni. Right. So yes, as you heard it from us, RTM in all probability is not going to be available, and with MS Dhoni, the case has got more and more curious.
And in fact, let me just cut you right there, because again, I think this is something that we need to explain to our audiences. What is that rule we're talking about? The rule, well, it was there from the start of the IPL, since the time it was founded in 2008, which said that any player who's been retired for 5 years, or whose last international match came 5 years prior, well, then they would be allowed to be put in as an uncapped player. Now, Dhoni's last international game came, of course, in July of 2019, which means that as things stand, he would count as an uncapped player in those rules. There's just one problem. In 2021, the IPL Governing Council struck that rule down for the very simple reason that no one had really used that rule. So they said, what is the point of having this rule? No one has ever come under this category prior, so let's just get it out of the way. Now, there have been rumblings that they might reinstate that rule, and if they do, then it would be beneficial because they could keep Dhoni as an uncapped player, and not just that, they'll save on a ton of money because the cap for that particular player is 4 crores. Dhoni is currently on 12. They'd be saving 8 crores, which could potentially let them go after a player or 2 extra in the auction.
So there you heard it from Shane. On what lines is CSK going to think, what they are going to do with MS Dhoni, how they can get MS Dhoni at a lower price and make a lot of savings. Thank you so much for joining us on this session on Republic World. Stay tuned to this channel for all the latest across sports. Thank you so much.